You know that feeling when you're driving down the highway and you suddenly notice the same car following the same route as you for miles? At first, it's just a coincidence, but then you start seeing it everywhere. Same color, same model, always three cars behind you at red lights. Your rational mind tries to dismiss it, but something deeper is paying attention. Something that knows this isn't random. The universe has been trying to get your attention for weeks now, maybe months. And if you're here watching this video right now, it's because those signals have been getting louder, more frequent, more impossible to ignore. You've been getting messages disguised as coincidences, patterns that feel too specific to be accidents, moments of clarity that hit you like lightning and then disappear just as quickly. But here's what most people don't understand about how the universe operates. It doesn't send you what you want when you want it. It sends you what you need when you're finally ready to receive it. And there's a very specific sequence of events that happens right before everything changes for you. A series of unmistakable signs that let you know something massive is about to shift in your reality. Most people miss these signs completely because they're looking for the wrong things. They're waiting for some dramatic revelation, some burning bush moment where the path forward becomes crystal clear. But that's not how it works. The universe speaks in whispers before it shouts. It sends you breadcrumbs before it gives you the whole loaf. And if you know how to read the signs, you can position yourself to catch the wave instead of being crushed by it. The first sign is something I call the Great Clearing. Everything that's been holding you back starts falling away, seemingly without your direct involvement. Relationships that have been draining your energy suddenly end. Jobs that have been suffocating your soul become unbearable. Living situations that felt permanent suddenly feel temporary. People start treating you differently, almost like they can sense something shifting in your energy field. This isn't punishment. This isn't the universe testing you or trying to make your life harder. This is preparation. Think of it like a garden. Before you can plant new seeds, you have to clear out the weeds, till the soil, remove the rocks that would prevent healthy growth. The universe is clearing space in your life for what's coming next. But most people panic during this phase because it feels like everything is falling apart. They try to hold onto the old patterns, the familiar dysfunction, the comfortable limitations. They fight against the clearing instead of surrendering to it. And when you fight against this process, when you try to force things to stay the same, that's when it becomes painful. That's when it feels like you're being torn apart instead of prepared for something greater. The second sign is what I call frequency isolation. You start feeling like you're operating on a completely different wavelength than everyone around you. Conversations that used to engage you now feel hollow. Entertainment that used to distract you now feels pointless. Social gatherings that used to energize you now drain you completely. You find yourself craving solitude not because you're depressed or antisocial, but because you need space to process whatever is shifting inside you. During this phase, you might feel lonely, but it's not the desperate kind of loneliness that makes you settle for shallow connections. It's more like a sacred solitude, a necessary withdrawal from the noise so you can hear the signal. You're not losing your ability to connect with people. You're developing the ability to distinguish between genuine connection and empty interaction. This is when you start noticing that certain people seem to fade from your life naturally, not through conflict or drama, but through a gradual recognition that you're simply moving in different directions. And while this can feel sad, there's also a sense of relief. Like you've been carrying extra weight without realizing it, and now you can finally breathe. The third sign is synchronicity amplification. The meaningful coincidences start happening so frequently that even the most skeptical part of your mind has to pay attention. You think of someone and they call. You need specific information, and it shows up in the most unexpected places. You ask the universe for a sign, and it delivers so clearly that you can't pretend it's random. But here's where most people get confused. They think these synchronicities are the destination, the answer, the thing they've been waiting for. But they're not. They're confirmations. They're the universe's way of letting you know that you're aligned with something larger than yourself. They're proof that you're finally operating at the frequency where miracles become normal. During this phase, you start trusting your intuition in ways you never have before. Not because you've become more spiritual or enlightened, but because the noise in your head has finally quieted enough for you to hear the signal that was always there. You start making decisions that don't make logical sense but feel absolutely right. You start saying yes to opportunities that scare you, and no to things that feel safe but soul-crushing. The fourth sign is what I call reality flexibility. The rules that seem fixed and unchangeable start revealing themselves as suggestions. Limitations that felt permanent begin dissolving. Problems that seemed impossible start presenting solutions. It's like you've been living in a house your entire life thinking the walls were solid, only to discover they're actually curtains that can be moved aside. This is when you realize that most of what you believed about how life works was just conditioning. The stories you were told about what's possible, what's realistic, what people like you can achieve, they start losing their power over you. Not because you've become delusional or unrealistic, but because you've started experiencing evidence that reality is far more malleable than you were taught. You begin to understand that your beliefs don't just describe your reality, they actually create it. And when you truly grasp this, not just intellectually, but experientially, everything changes. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming a conscious creator of your experience. The fifth sign is the emergence of your authentic power. Not the kind of power that comes from controlling others or manipulating situations, but the kind that comes from finally knowing who you are, underneath all the masks you've been wearing. This authentic power doesn't announce itself with grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It shows up quietly in the way you start speaking your truth without needing anyone to validate it, in the way you set boundaries without feeling guilty about disappointing people, in the way you pursue what matters to you without constantly explaining yourself to others. People start noticing something different about your presence, not because you're trying to be impressive or charismatic, but because you've stopped trying to be anything other than exactly who you are. There's a stillness to you now, a groundedness that wasn't there before. You're not reactive anymore. You're responsive. You don't get pulled into drama or chaos because you've found your center and you know how to stay there. This is when you realize that all those years of people-pleasing and performance weren't actually helping anyone. They were just keeping you small and everyone else comfortable with your smallness. But now you understand that your authenticity is actually a gift to the world. When you show up as your real self, you give others permission to do the same. The sixth sign is temporal distortion. Time starts behaving differently around you. Minutes feel like hours when you're doing something that doesn't align with your purpose. Hours feel like minutes when you're in your flow state. Weeks pass by in what feels like days, but somehow you accomplish more than you used to in months. You stop living in the past or the future and start inhabiting the present moment in a way you never have before. Not because you've mastered some meditation technique, but because the present is where your power lives. It's where your intuition speaks. It's where opportunities reveal themselves. It's where life actually happens. This is when you understand that most people are sleepwalking through their lives, lost in regret about yesterday or anxiety about tomorrow, but you've woken up to the fact that this moment right now is the only place where change can occur, where decisions can be made, where your life can be transformed. The seventh sign is energetic magnetism. You start attracting things without chasing them. Opportunities find you. The right people show up at the right time. Resources appear when you need them most, not because you've learned some manifestation technique, but because you've aligned your energy with what you truly desire instead of what you think you should want. This is when you realize that most of your life you've been swimming upstream, forcing things to happen, trying to make square pegs fit into round holes. But now you've learned to work with the current instead of against it. You've discovered that when you're truly aligned, life flows with an ease that used to seem impossible. People start describing you as lucky, but you know it's not luck. It's alignment. You're finally vibrating at the same frequency as your desired reality, so of course it's drawn to you. You've stopped sending mixed signals to the universe. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions are all pointing in the same direction. The eighth and final sign is the quiet knowing. There's no fanfare, no lightning bolt moment, no dramatic revelation. One day you just wake up and you know. You know what you're supposed to do next. You know who you're meant to become. You know that everything up until this point has been preparation for what's about to unfold. This knowing doesn't come with proof or guarantees. It doesn't make logical sense. It can't be explained to skeptics or doubters. But it's so strong, so clear, so undeniable that you can't ignore it even if you wanted to. It's like a compass that's finally found magnetic north after years of spinning wildly. And here's what's beautiful about this moment. You're not afraid anymore. Not because the path ahead is easy or guaranteed, but because you finally trust yourself to handle whatever comes. You've been through the clearing, the isolation, the synchronicities, the reality shifts, the power emergence, the time distortion, and the magnetic attraction. You've been trained for this moment without even realizing it. When all 8 signs align, when they're all present in your life simultaneously, that's when you know. The universe has finished its preparation. The stage is set. The players are in position. Everything you've been unconsciously working toward is about to become conscious. Everything you've been preparing for is about to begin. But here's the thing that nobody tells you about this moment. When it finally arrives, when all the signs converge and the door opens to your next chapter, you'll have a choice to make. You can step through that door into the unknown, or you can stay where you are in the familiar. And that choice, that final moment of decision, is where everything you've learned about trust and surrender and authentic power gets put to the ultimate test. Because the universe can send you every sign in existence, but it can't make you walk through the door. That part is entirely up to you. If these signs feel familiar, if something inside you is recognizing itself in these words, then you already know what's coming. The question isn't whether you're ready anymore. The question is whether you'll trust what you already know and finally step into who you've always been meant to become.